who are watching the replay. All right, fantastic. Okay. Let's get started, everybody. So thank you all for joining me live today. And for those of you watching the replay, thank you as well. This is going to be one of those workshops that you guys, even though you all are here live, and because the best thing about you guys being here live is you get to ask me questions personally. But those of you who are watching the replay will get to stop and start it. And I actually recommend those of you who are here with me live, you may end up wanting to see the replay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a series of questions. I refer to them as revealing questions. We're going to start at what I refer to as 10,000 feet up, because I think that, let me see here. How am I not? I want to make sure that I'm on here. If you guys want to, Cindy and Pastor, you guys are on my screen. If you want to shut your video off, you are more than welcome to do so. That's up to you. But what I wanted to do was, as I was working through this process, and I've done this before for several years. We haven't done this the last couple of years. And then I reworked it and revised it. But what I noticed that when I work with people is they all want to start with, here's how much money I want to make. This is how much I need to sell. This is what I need to do. And I want to step back. What I want you guys to do is we're going to start from 10,000 feet up, and then we're going to work our way down. So there's going to be pages that you're most likely want to take a screen grab of, because there's going to be questions that you're not going to be able to answer while we're together here, because it's going to require some thinking and some thought process. But the reason that's really good for you who are here with me live, if something comes up and I have a question that you really just like resonates with you, message me in the chat and I will stop. And we can dig into it. And if you have a specific question with regards to, I see where you're going with this, Penny, but this is what I'm doing. Can you figure out a way to help me with this? By all means, I will stop. But this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to review the year with some questions. I want to talk about your marketing plan, and help you set what I refer to as strategic goals. We're going to go through this process one by one by one by one. So let's start up at the top and then work our way down. As I've always said to you guys, so for those of you who don't really know me that well, especially for those of you who are watching on the replay today, since 2010, I've taught about 125 social media workshops at the National Entrepreneur Center in Orlando. So I have worked with hundreds of small business owners. I am not just here to be for coaches. I am not just here for people who do online products. I have worked with all different types of businesses. So any questions that you have for me, please feel free to do so. I currently have two businesses myself. I'm doing the content strategy consultation, which I've been doing for about 22 years. And I had started the Create Your Business content development program back in 2018. So this is the third in our series of the Create Better Content. The first one is we were setting your marketing foundation. The second one was I really got to geek out quite a bit on what I refer to as mind mapping for brainstorm content ideas. If you haven't seen either one of these workshops, by all means, the replays are in my YouTube channel, which I am just now starting, which I'm so excited. And I just uploaded another video this morning. So it just makes me very happy to promote my YouTube channel. I'm actually going to continue doing these free workshops once a month in 2023. Watch your inbox for more details. I actually know in January which one I'm going to be doing. I am doing something called active content versus passive content. I don't even know if that's a thing or if I made that up. I don't want to say I made that up. I feel like my hair is like sticking up. Sorry about this. I don't mean to be doing this in front of you. But there's a difference that I noticed this year as I've been moving through my content and I've been developing my marketing strategy. actually reworking my marketing strategy and starting all over again. There's a huge difference between what I refer to as passive content and active content. And the difference that I personally see in engagement with regards to the active content versus the passive content. So what I want to do in January is I want to talk about the difference between both of them. And I also want to talk about a system that you can put in place to repurpose this content so that you don't find yourself creating content every single day, because I know we all have businesses and we're all extremely busy. So watch your inbox for that. That's what we're going to be doing in January. I'm super excited about it, and I'm really looking forward to digging into this with you. All right, so let's get into goal setting. And of course, I have to start with science because that's just what I do. There is a science behind the idea of goal setting. Henry David Thoreau has said, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. So that's a really, really important statement as we move forward for this, because the science behind goal setting is it really, really, truly is all in your brain. I know that sounds like really weird because you think it has to do with typing this thing out or it has to be a marketing strategy in some way, shape, or form, but it's really connected to what's going on with your brain. So there's something called the endowment effect. I'm going to get into that. And then, which triggers this thing called doses of dopamine. And dopamine, getting real sciencey here, getting real geeky, guys, is actually a neurotransmitter in the hypothalamus back here, like right where your head meets the top of your neck. Your hypothalamus is right back there. And that's where dopamine comes from. So let's talk a little bit about this and why this is so important for goal setting. So the endowment effect is something, it's called something that when we take ownership of a goal, we are able to see it as ours. So what happens is when we take ownership of this, it actually becomes ingrained in a part of us. It becomes a sense of our identity, and we become more invested in this idea and goals. And when we own this, I'll give you a really, really good specific example of something that has happened to me this year. When I first started the Create Your Business program, I was looking at it as an overall marketing, how to help build your business, how to grow your business. And I would say, grow your business, build your business. And I went through a huge branding intensive program at the beginning of this year where I worked with a branding coach who helped me really kind of pull out what I was trying to say, because everybody can't just build your business. I mean, this can't just marketing strategy. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you're trying to help business owners with? And it all came back down to the content. I have been doing content for years. For those of you who know me, you've seen me, you've been on calls with me, and I'm like the idea magnet. So the minute that she said this to me, where we came up with the tagline of tapping into your creativity so that you never run out of content ideas again, I took ownership of that. I actually created that. And that idea of never running out of content ideas again became a part of my business identity. And I became more invested in it. I became more connected to it. And so that's what I mean by the endowment effect. So if you look at my content or you look at anything that I've done for the rest of the year, ever since I have met with her, it all goes back to that. So I want you to think about this as goal setting in that sense. Not that you have to have a branding tag or anything like that, but what is it about this goal of yours? What is it about what you're trying to achieve, especially in 2023, that you can take, as a sense of your identity? You can be invested in this. You feel like you own this. Because what happens is what happened with me personally. Like the reason I'm sharing the science of goal setting with you is because this has actually happened to me. And as always, I never really have the real words to it until I run my research on the science of it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what has happened to me. Once I became invested in this, once I really owned the idea of never running out of content ideas again by tapping into your creativity, the doses of dopamine were happening. Our brain, the hypothalamus back here, that starts with the neurotransmitters, your brain gets stimulated every time that you reach an accomplishment. Think about how you feel when you've crossed something off your list, when you've actually, set out to do something and you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I actually did it. That's the dopamine in your body. It's an organic chemical that's going through your head and it moves through the rest of your body. You can feel it. Maybe people say my hands are tingling, my stomach is feeling jittery. The dopamine is going through our body. And so it's basically the setup, like the chemicals reward your achievements and it improves your mood. So you're chasing your goals, but you're also chasing that natural boost in our system. Because every time we do something that we feel good about, that we're happy about, we want to do it again. We want to do it again. We want to do it again. And that is how goal setting works, especially if it's done right. Those times when you've experienced when you're disappointed that you didn't reach this goal, or you're hurt, or you're angry, or you're whatever the word you want to fill in there, that's because you're missing out on the dopamine. You have moved past that point of, that chemical making you feel good into making you feel bad. So how is this going to help you guys? So I want you to think about all this thing that I just shared with you just now. I want you to think about, it's not just a goal of how much money can I make? How much can I grow my business? How can I, blah, 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 all these other things that people like to say. I want you to take ownership. I want you to think about how you can take ownership, because when you have this ownership, it does help you stay focused. It does keep you motivated. Your brain wants you to accomplish this goal because it wants that hit of the dopamine. It wants that hit of the good feelings that you're going to be doing. And every time you hit a milestone, it gives you a positive mindset to achieve more. Cooper always making an entrance. So, hello, Cooper. All right, so let's get started. When it comes to the review, as I said to you before, I know, Cooper, we're going to start up and then I'm going to work our way down. So let's go up to the 10,000 feet. And I'm going to start working through all these questions here for you. And again, I don't expect you all to answer it at this very minute. This may be something that you, go watch in a replay, you hit your pause. For those of you who are here with me right now, you might want to screenshot some of these, because some of these questions are going to need some time, and more time than you and I are going to sit here together on this workshop today. So what were your plans for this year? What was the big goal that you were trying to accomplish? I know for me, it was getting really good clarity about what I was doing with the Create Your Business program. I think I did a really good job of it. It moved a lot slower than I had wanted it to be, but that was my big goal. So think about what big goals you were trying to accomplish this year. And what changed for your business in the last 6 months? I want you to list out 3 things that changed in the way that you manage your business. And it could be anything, like I could say I started a YouTube channel. And the reason I started the YouTube channel was that idea that I was talking about, the difference between passive content and active content. I felt like I was not doing enough of active content where people could actually hear me tell my story. So one of the 3 things that I would list here is that I started a YouTube channel. Did your business slow down, or did you ramp up with your business? What's changed for you in the last 6 months? What happily surprised you with your business this year? What were your big wins? These are these 2 questions that I would like you to sit with. Don't just say, oh, I was happily surprised that I paid my bills this month. Go a little deeper than that, because remember, we're doing 10,000 feet up. We're not down here. I want you to go up here. What happily surprised you? Is there something that you did this year that just you didn't think you would be able to do, and now you're doing it? What were your big wins? And as you notice, I'm not giving you a number. If your big wins were 10 big wins, write them all down. If it was 2 big wins, write it down. I'm not telling you that you can do 2 or 10. I want you to think about all of your big wins, all of them. And what 3 things are you the most proud that happened with your business this year? That's a good question. So happily surprised is one thing, because you didn't expect it to happen. But what are things that you're really proud that you've done? What are really things that you are proud that happened with your business this year? You could even say, I'm glad my business is still open. I'm proud of that. After everything that's happened in COVID, I know for a fact I went through so many changes these last couple of years. Whew, can't even begin to tell you. I am proud that I am still here in business. That's one of the things that I can say I'm proud about. What were your 3 biggest challenges with your business? I want you to dig deep into this one. And your challenges could be anything from I struggled with closing sales. I struggled with being consistent with my marketing. I struggled with being able to have some clarity about what I wanted to say with my marketing. You know, what were your 3 biggest challenges? Or just I'm just coming up with some ideas. Those don't have to be your challenges. They could be that, but dig deep into it. Don't just say, I thought I was going to close this big client and it didn't happen. You know, let's go above. We're doing 10,000 feet. We're not doing below. Think about it from that perspective. How did you rise up to face the challenges? And what did you do differently to deal with your challenges? You didn't think I was just going to let you sit there with those challenges, did you? Oh, no. I want you to dig deep into this. How did you rise up and face those challenges? And what did you do differently to deal with the challenges? If you did the same thing that you always did, maybe your answer at that point is, I'm always doing the same thing that I always done. And you could answer the question, I have an awareness now that, what is that expression? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Maybe now you could say, what I could do differently is I have an awareness that this is happening and I'm not doing anything differently and I need to. That could be the answer as well. But really should to dig into this. And so after you've gone through all of these things, when you talked about the challenges, how you dealt with them, I want you to then think about it from the perspective of, what lessons did you learn from this? So going back to this example that I had shared, I keep doing the same things over and over again. So what I'm doing differently is there's an awareness now. So if I write out the lessons that I've learned, I could say, whenever I feel stuck or I'm feeling challenged and I find myself doing the same thing over and over again, that's an awareness that I need to do something different. That's the lesson that I've learned. It doesn't mean that your entire life is going to be changed, but if you can pinpoint things like that lesson, write it out, type it out, or however you're going to do these things for yourself today. That's a huge piece as you're moving forward into 2023, because it comes into the second question here too. What is the hidden meaning or the opportunity from that experience? The opportunity from that experience. So now we've learned a lesson. I've learned that I keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working for me. So now I've learned I have an awareness of when that's happening. But the hidden meaning and the opportunity is when I have the awareness now, I can stop what I'm doing. I can stop the ruminating in my head and the overthinking and all of that. And I can be aware it's happening again. I know what's going on. I know that I'm doing this now. What can I do differently? So there's an opportunity here to take what's happened in that lesson and to help me move forward. So when 2023 comes in, I'm not saying that challenges aren't ever going to happen to you, because they are. But if you can take a few minutes to go through this, when they do come up for you in 2023, you, instead of going on for 2-3 days or a week about this, maybe you'll go on for like an hour and you'll move past it a lot quicker. And you can, cut it off before it gets out of hand, and you can just keep moving in a better place. And that's one of the things these questions are for, to help you keep moving forward like this. A lot of stuff right there. But that was us up here. And I really, really hope that you guys all take some time to sit down and work through these questions. I was just giving you some ideas and some suggestions about how to get you started, but those were my answers, really, kind of being honest with you, from my personal experience. So I want you to pull from your own personal experience, because it's going to matter more and it's going to mean more to you when it's coming from what you've experienced. So let's talk a little bit about our creative thinking, because we always do this in every single one of our workshops. And I always like to share my experiences, because I do my best creative thinking when I am walking, especially when I'm walking my dog in a new place. I'm planning a painting day. One of the big things that I do every year is whenever I get my word of the year, I like to paint it. Actually, I'll go, oh, goodness gracious. Cooper, I didn't realize you were behind me. Sorry about that. I have a dog. I always have the dog. So I usually take my word of the year was transformation for this year. And so I get a canvas. I've got a whole bunch of them back there too. And I paint my word of the year. So, we all do things that we want to do. A lot of this is what I refer to as disrupting the prefrontal cortex, getting us out of the autopilot, getting us from doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so I want you to think about what you can do to open up that creative space in your life. It doesn't have to be painting. It doesn't have to be walking. It could be baking. It could be sitting in your garden. It could be, enjoying your back porch or something like that. It doesn't have to be, going down to Michael's and buying a whole bunch of supplies and pretending that you're a crafty person when you're not. But one of the things I want you to talk about, the creative exercise that I want you to do today is doodle. I have one of my really close business friends, I guess is the best way I could describe it. She's a friend, but we've met through business, and she'd gotten to be friends from that. She has this funny habit that when she's on the phone with people or when she's on a Zoom call with people, she starts doodling. And she takes notes, but in between her notes, she doodles all over the page. I have been with her on a call and I have watched her doodle. It's amazing. And I don't even think she realizes what it is that she's doing, but she doesn't. So I am going to challenge you all to doodle. Just doing a simple drawing in the form of doodling actually helps you with your brain and create more insights as you're working through ideas. So the next time you're feeling stuck, the next time you're like in the middle of something and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I want to do, grab a piece of paper and grab a pencil or a pen or whatever it is and start doodling. What happens is your brain becomes actively engaged in this drawing, but it's not enough that your thoughts start to spiral into this, what I refer to as an obsessive train of thought. It really, really helps when you start doodling. There's something that happens scientifically. I'm not going to get into the whole thing about what happens with your brain, going through your hand, and the actual act of doodling, but it's amazing. So the next time you feel yourself stuck and you want to get into a little bit of creative thinking, just start doodling. And for those of you who go, I can't draw, I don't know how to do this. Trust me when I tell you this, everybody can draw, because doodling is just a bunch of shapes. If you can draw a square or a circle or a triangle, you know how to doodle. So there's no, excuses that I don't know how to draw, I'm not creative. That's not what this is about. This isn't like, we're going to sell your painting and it's going to go hang someplace in some museum. That's not it at all. This is just for you. And what it's going to do is, even if it's just 5-10 minutes of your time, if you can start doodling when you feel yourself getting stuck like this, watch what happens. And then I want anybody who's listening to me right now, and then when this happens to you, email me and tell me what happens and how you felt differently when you got done with your doodle. I promise you, it's going to shift your mind into another state, and it's going to create some aha moments and get you some insights that you weren't experiencing when you were feeling stuck. Always, as I always say, be open to the flow of the ideas that come through the content development process. And you should, as you're doodling, keep a notebook and pen by your side, because you're going to find something or is going to come to you, and you're going to want to make sure that you write this thing down. So this is your creative exercise for this month's workshop. And as always, like I always like to tell you, if you want to dig into this deeper and learn how this works, how you can start tapping into your creativity so that you never run out of content ideas again, $20 off any subscription plan for the Create Your Business boxes. Use the coupon code CREATE, all in lowercase. And basically what this is a DIY program. You and I are not going to work personally together, but you are going to get all of my content, because you're going to get a workbook that's going to come into your inbox. So every month you're going to start developing things, from understanding who your clients are to how that you can create messages for them, all the way down to a call to action that you could be using to get more engagement. So you'll have the workbook that comes to your inbox and the creative tools that come to your door. Use CREATE, all lowercase, for $20 off any subscription plan. All right. Had to say that, had to get it done. All right, let's start digging. So let's talk a little bit more about planning your goals. So we were up here at 10,000 feet. Now we're coming down to about 1,000 feet. So we're getting a little bit closer. Now we're going to talk more about your business and how we're going to reach these goals. So 2023 will be the space in my business when I finally blank. What is it that you see yourself doing in your business in 2023? That is going to set the foundation for the rest of your answers for what we're going to be doing. So describe how you want your year to unfold in 3 words. I am a big believer, as you can see from my little painting there, and your word of the year. But I also believe that it's more than just one word. We all have other words that we want to do. For me, I'd say I know what my word of the year for 2023 is going to be: alignment. But I also have other words that I'm using, like telling my story, like things like that. There was, I already did that research thing and I can't remember, or they were like right on the tip of my tongue right now. But how do these words support what you want to do, what you think you'll finally do in 2023? So I want you to think about these 3 words. It could be phrases as well. And name 3 skills that you'll learn or improve upon in 2023. Is there something else that you want to do? I could say for me, I really need to do a better job of learning how to edit. I'm editing my own videos on YouTube, and I've got an editing program, and I am just barely scratching the surface on how this program works. I'm doing just enough so that I can upload my videos, but I know there's so much more in this program that I need to learn. So that's one of the skills that I know I'm going to be learning in 2023. So what's 3 skills that you're going to learn or improve upon in 2023? All right. Excuse me. So let's dig into these marketing plans. We're going down and down and down. We're still here. I'm going to get more specific in the next section, but right now we're still talking about your marketing strategy versus a marketing plan. So right now we're in marketing strategy. We're not in marketing plan just yet. So let's think about your marketing. So I put plans up there. Sorry about that. I meant strategy. Your social media sites, marketing messages, milestones that you want to reach. Important. So let's think about your strategy. Where did you connect with more customers? Did you connect on social media? Did you connect through your email newsletter? Do you do a lot of direct messaging, in-person Zoom meetings? Is that where you mostly connect with people? What brought you the most website traffic or sales? Was it social media? Through your email newsletter, promotions or sales, maybe in person, meeting people at networking events, going to conferences? How did you generate most of your website traffic or sales? And did these goals, these results, help you reach your goals? Did this, going back here, brought you the most website traffic or sales? Did it help you reach your income goals? Did you see website traffic increase? Did you see a growth in your email news and your email list? Did you see an increase in customers? If yes, let's think about what happened. Let's get real specific here. Was there specific images or copy that you used? Again, I can use my example. I was, going over and over and over again about last year, build your business, create your business and all of that stuff. But when I started flipping into tap into your creativity to never run out of content ideas again, and that became the foundation for my copy and my marketing messages, my engagement increased tenfold. I noticed the difference between different sites. But what I also found really interesting was there was specific content that I was using when I would use it on Instagram, and then I would use it again on LinkedIn. I was still getting some really, really good results. So I track my stuff every single month about what my top posts are. So I can actually tell you every single month, this one was working really well in both. This one was really working badly, and so I would take everything to, to tweak it and see what was going on. And so I would really advise you to start looking at your content, going through each one of your social media sites, whichever ones you're on, and start looking at the analytics that are in each one of them. And the analytics is going to be able to give you the engagement, how many people clicked on it, how many views you got or impressions, depending upon the website. So you're going to be able to determine, this type of information about which one was working really well for you and which one you really should be tweaking. Were you also getting referrals? Or was it social media? Or was it through your email list? Is that where you are generating most of this website traffic and most of your sales? Where were you sharing this? These are all strategy type of questions that we want to look at. And this is information, again, you're not going to be able to answer this right here and right now. You may need to go back and do what I do every single month. At the end of every single month, I do a recap. I made my little, I make my own printables. I know, my Pinterest thing in me. I make my own printables where I just put, my numbers, and I can run my numbers, and I can actually compare one month to the next month. But then I have a little space on my printable with notes, right, where I call it what happened, and it could be what happened, or, it could be what happened, with a explanation point, or what happened, depends on how you're looking at it. But every single month, I actually track this information because it helps me understand what's working in my business and what needs tweaking. So I highly recommend that if you aren't doing something like that, that is a goal for you for 2023, to really start tracking your content like that. If what you are doing did not help you reach your goals, let's talk about that a little bit. Again, we're in the strategy section. Are you on the right social media site? I don't want to get too far in the weeds about all of this, but a lot of times when I work with clients, I notice that a lot of people will just use a social media site because it's something that they like to do. I like being on Facebook, so I'm just going to keep using it on Facebook. I'm just going to keep, promoting my stuff on Facebook, and then they'll just keep using it and keep using it and keep using it, and nothing's ever really happening. And they don't really think to assess, is this where my clients are hanging out? Is this where my customers are really spending their time? So when I ask about, the question is, are you using the right social site? If that's why you're not getting the good response that you're looking for, do a little research into that. And it's very, very easy to run all kinds of research, which is why I don't want to get too far into the weeds about this. But you can actually run a search on each one of the social media sites, and that includes TikTok and Snapchat and LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and blah, blah, blah. I mean, and Pinterest and all of that stuff. And it will give you the demographics of the people who are using it. It is women 35 plus, and if your customers are men 25 plus, being on a social media site like, let's say, Pinterest, which is mostly women, that's why it's not working for you, because you want to be where your customers are spending their time. And so if it's not working for you because you're on the wrong social media site, it's time that you could run a little bit of research and figure out where the disconnect is. So I highly recommend that if it's not working, that's the first question I always ask. Are you on the right social media site? So think about that. The next question I would ask is, maybe, so you're on the right social media site. Okay, that's great. Is your copy including a pain point or a call to action? That one is a huge one that I find happening all the time, where people will say, buy my stuff. I got a special going on. And while money is important, and I am not in any way discounting, as I as I offer you, I give you my offer. But if I don't know what the benefit is, and if I don't know how it's going to help me, and if you're not talking to me with a pain point, going, this is where you're struggling, and this is how my product can help you, you've lost me. And you got to remember, it's not just that you're not doing a pain point or a call to action. You've got to remember that we as users, heavy users of social media, heavy users of any kind of marketing, as radio, TV, billboards, cable, social media, all of it. There is a gazillion messages coming at us all day long. So if you are not talking to me and telling me that you understand my pain point and giving me a call to action, that's what CTA is, the call to action, telling me what to do, click on this link, download this ebook, tell me what to do, it's really easy for me to scroll right past it. So if your content isn't working, ask yourself those questions. Am I on the right social media site? Yes, if I am. Is my copy including a pain point or a call to action? I feel really strongly about this, as you can tell. I'm actually feeling like this whole thing may be a whole workshop in itself for 2023. So stay tuned. There's a good possibility that there could be a whole workshop on this. A last question I would ask you, is your product or service something that your customers really want and need? We could be right in the best social media site. We could be having the most awesome, messages in the world. But if it's something that they really don't want, or they don't see the need to it, we're going to scroll right past it. So we want to make sure that you do an assessment, do an audit, a content audit, a business audit, or whatever words you want to use, about what's going on with you and what's going on with why this isn't working. Because it's more than just, I'm just out there every day, I'm being consistent. It's more than that. And you have to want to take a look at this. And so one of the things that we want to start doing with the strategy is really giving yourself some time and some space to analyze what's not working, as well it is what's working. I mean, it's great when it's working, but when it's not working and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, remember the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Don't be insane. Don't follow the insanity rule. I want you to see when something is not working for you and dig down into it and do an audit and learn how to tweak for it, and let's see what we can do to tweak it. So that was our strategy. So we talked about, we were 10,000 feet up talking about ourselves and our business. Then we went down to 1,000 feet with our marketing strategy. Now we're going to dig down deep at the last part of this into talking about your very, very specific towards your marketing plan. And this is where the strategic goals will come in, because I'm going to get very, very baseline specific right now with this next section. Okay. So when we do this, we go through the whole, let me see if I can move me out of the way there a little bit. Okay. Why, what, who, when, where, and how. I know you guys have all seen this before. You've all heard this before, but you might not have heard my version of it. If you spend any time with me, maybe you have, and this will be a good refresher course. But this is my version of it. I always start with the why. If you have not had a session with me where I take you through the 5 whys, I highly encourage you to contact me. I think I still have 2 spaces left for one-to-one coaching in January. So email me, let me know. I can work with you on dates. But to do the 5 whys is this. I basically sit you down and we start out with, you tell me about your business and you give me your tagline. And then I ask you, why does that matter? And then you explain that to me. And then what I do is I say, I want you to treat me like I'm in 3rd grade. Don't use big words. Don't try to explain things, using all your industry legal ease, marketing ease that you want to use. Talk to me like I'm in 3rd grade. And then I actually keep asking you. By about the 4th why, you're getting really pissed off at me because you think that I'm aggravating you, but I'm really not. What I'm going to do, especially time I hit by that 5th why, we come to the conclusion of that's the why. That's the real reason of why. Because a lot of times we're starting here with the 1st why because it just feels really good to say this tagline. But by the time I get you down to that 5th why, you really, really can see the difference between that. So if you don't work with me, do this yourself. And or you could do this with a friend, or you could do this with an accountability partner or something like that and ask each other this. Why does that matter? So every time you say that, why does that matter? Why does that matter? Why does that matter? And it's a really important piece because sometimes it's just so easy to go, well, we help people build their business. And why does that matter? Because we're saving them time. Why does that matter? Because we're helping them, get more done in less time. Why does that matter? Because she's a mom and she also has to take care of her kids. Because that's why that matters. Because she only has a certain amount of hours in her day. And what you're doing, make sure it doesn't take her 3 hours and only takes her 30 minutes. That's why that matters. So, I didn't do the whole process, but I was just kind of doing it off the top of my head. But do this. If you don't do it with me, do this with somebody, do this with yourself. Go through the process of whys. Do your 5 whys and why that matters. It's a really, really cool exercise. I promise you. Okay, next one. Let's get to the what. What's the plan? Review what worked. We talked about this in the last section. When we're talking about strategy, look at that plan. What worked? Look at your analytics. Look at each one of the social media sites. Every single social media site has analytics. And if you don't know where to find it, go to the help section. I can assure you, every single social media site is going to let you know where the clicks came from, what the impressions were, what the engagement was, and you can compare. What happened with this? What happened with this? What happened at this time of day? Did it really matter that it was at this time of day? Did it matter what day of the week it was? Does it matter what the image was? And if this image worked, did this image not work? I want you to get that specific, because when you can start to see that specific, that word specific, such a tough word for me. When you get that specific, that's when you start to see, that's why that worked. That's why that didn't work. Maybe it was the same picture, but the copy changed. And if the copy changed and it worked better for the copy because maybe that copy had more call to action, it talked more about my pain point, it did that type of stuff. So review what worked. I want you to really walk away from this plan going, this is what worked for me. This is what didn't work for me. I will give you a really good example from me. In May of this year, I did a 30-day challenge. on Instagram. And I actually had to, I created 2 new pieces of content every day for 30 days. That was huge. But I will admit, by about the second week in, I had developed my routine. I knew I was in Canva and I had everything worked out. I had my fonts already, I had my images, I had my designs already. So it became a lot easier to do the process over and over and over again. But when I look at my Instagram insights that month, that was the best month that I ever had. It had everything to do with the content that I was creating. It had everything to do with the images that I was developing. I did a whole refresh on my Instagram page. And so I was able to go back and I can still compare now what I'm doing on Instagram to what happened that month. And I can see what worked for me that month and, where I'm not doing such a good job on it this month. So get real specific about this. And as you're looking at this, what I find really interesting, as always happens, as you start moving through this and you're looking at the specifics of it, you can also start to say to yourself, what could I have done to add to this promotion? And what can I do for 2023? What can I do to add on to this? If this worked really, really well, where can I take this to the next place? Where can I add more to this? So instead of just doing the same thing over and over again, adding more to it. And again, as I said to you earlier, with the doodling, when you get stuck, try doodling, and think about what ideas will come up to you during that creative exercise that you can start doing differently. All right, let's get to the who. And I don't mean the who's from Whoville. Who are you reaching? Get real specific about this. Who is your target? Narrow down who your customer is. Don't just tell me women business owners, because women business owners are a huge, huge category. It could say women business owners who are 25 to 40 with 2 kids. That is being very specific. And the reason that I am saying to be very specific is because there's a huge difference between a woman business owner who is 30 years old with 2 kids and somebody who's my age, the 50 plus category, whose child just graduated from high school this year. So my life is a whole different than somebody who's 30 with 2 little kids. So my pain points are a huge difference. You can talk to me about saving time all you want, but saving time because I have to take care of 2 kids and take them to daycare and take them to school and take them to after school activities and all that stuff, that's a whole world that I no longer participate in. You're saving me time because now I'm an empty nester and I'm really appreciating the fact that my son's gone off to college and my house is mine now. And so I want to have more time to go spend time with my friends. 2 different, but we're both women business owners, right? So you need to be so clear about who this person is, who your target is that you're talking to, because when you narrow down that person, that's when the marketing messages make sense. That's when you're able to think about the pain points. And that's when the pain points will resonate, because telling somebody like me that you're going to save me time so I can spend more time with my kids, my son's in college. I would love to spend more time with my son, but I can't. So it's not a pain point for me. Does that make sense? So you want to think about who you are talking to and what their pain is and what the call to action is going to be completely different. So when I ask you who you are talking to and wanting to narrow it down, it has everything to do with your content, because that is how you are going to create some content. You're going to create messages that will resonate with the person that you are trying to reach. So spend some time. If you have never done any time, what do they call it? Client avatar. Go look that up on Google. I think it is. There's like a ton. I don't even want to jump into this whole thing. It's huge. There's like ebooks and webinars and all kinds of people who will help you with further defining who that target is. But that's going to be a huge thing. So if you don't know who you're talking to and you just say something like, women business owners, that's not the answer. That is not the answer, because we women business owners are running a full gamut. And, you could be talking to me or you could not be talking to me. So I want you to think about who that target is and how you're going to really narrowly define that. And I mean narrow. It could be just as much as a 10-year age gap, because there's a huge difference between women in their 30s and women in their 50s. We're two different people. So I want you to think about that too as you're working on this marketing plan of yours. And let's talk a little bit more about who this person is. One of the things that I like to do with my with my one-on-one clients that I deal with, is we don't just talk about defining this person, by their age, their demographic. Are they married? Do they have kids? Are they grandparents? Blah, blah, blah. I also recommend that you do research on the lifestyle and behaviors of them. Are they, so if they're moms, are they soccer moms? Or are they baseball moms? Or do they help out at the school, or do they work two jobs and they can't spend any time at the school? What are their lifestyles and behaviors? Is it that they finally get their kids down and at 10 o'clock, between 10 and midnight is the only time that they get to watch whatever they want on TV? They're on their phones at that time. Think about the lifestyle and the behaviors of this person that you're talking to. And that is going to also help you with your content, because I keep going back to this over and over again, but I'll switch it up if you need me to. If you have any specific questions for me about doing the research and behavior, because when we talk about our lifestyle and we talk about the behavior, that also will give you some insights into their pain points and let you understand, where are they struggling, and how your service, how your product is the answer, is a solution for them. And I can tell you right now, and I know this for a fact, that people will say, oh, I can't afford it. I can't do this with the money. But I got news for you. If it's something that somebody wants and they see the potential and they see the opportunity that it's going to help them solve this problem, it's going to help them do this XYZ in their life, it doesn't matter how much it costs. They are going to buy it. So that's why it's so important to know more about how old they are, whether they're a mom, whether they are a grandparent, whether they're a dad, a single dad. That's a whole other lifestyle there too. We want to know more about them, and then we can start thinking about their lifestyle and behavior. And their lifestyle and behavior is what's going to help you find that pain point, help you find that thing that's going to really connect them to, like, oh, that's what I need. That's what I need to do. So it's really, really important to get to that place. And if you're struggling with that and you're not really sure, I always say, use a survey. Go into Facebook groups where these people are hanging out and just ask questions. Don't try to sell anybody. Say, I'm working on this product right now and I'd really like to get some feedback. Do you all feel like this? What is your biggest challenge with this? Where are you struggling with this? And what'd be really interesting is when you ask these questions in like Facebook groups, when you get people to respond and answer to you, let me start that sentence over again. When you get them to respond and answer those questions for you, their answers are your content, because you're using their words. You're using how they're explaining how their life is and where they're struggling and where their challenge is. You can take that information and turn that around and say, are you feeling like this? And use their exact same words. And people are like, yes, I feel like this, because they said that. They said those words. So if you're not really sure, how to do this and how to do, get some lifestyle and behavior information, just start asking. Ask people, go into Facebook groups, ask questions of your family, of your friends. Run a survey on if you've got an email list, just start asking people. You can set up something like a Survey Monkey. That's one of those programs where you can, have people answer a few questions for you, and you can get them to do more than just yes, no. You can actually have them put comments in there. And again, use that information in your content, because it's their words. It's what they're feeling. It's what they're saying. So Yeah, I mean, I was like harping on and on in the last slide about why it's so important to understand, who this person is, but it's even more so important to understand their lifestyles and their behaviors so that when you are creating this content, it is something that really resonates with them and really connects with them. Okay, we're jumping into the next one. Where are we? When are you going to run this marketing campaign? It can't just be, I'm going to do it first quarter. You've got to know. One of the things that I have done in the past is I have been known to um, take calendars and put the whole calendar out, all 12 months, and just start writing dates. Okay, on this date, I'm going to do this. On this date, I'm going to be doing this. On this date, I will do this. And then I work backwards. So if I'm launching a product on this date, I can't just start my marketing and promotions a week out. I'm going to do it a month out. I'm going to most likely do it 2 months out. And if I'm going to do it 2 months out, I'm going to say to myself, okay, so if I'm launching this product in, let's say, March, in January, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to start creating some content. Maybe I'm going to write some blog posts. Maybe I'm going to do some videos. Maybe I'm going to do a video series, and I'm going to find a way to lead up to it. So by the time that I get to that launching of that product, my community has heard me talk about this, has heard me talk about the pain points, has heard me talk about, this process, this video, this valuable content that I was creating. And now I can help them out. And they're like, yes, we love this. We love this. This helps. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks before I launch, I say, oh, and guess what? I've been talking about this, whatever this thing is. I'm going to be launching a new program to help you solve this problem. And they're like, yes, where do I sign up? So you can't just say, I'm going to launch a product in March and decide that you're going to maybe 2 weeks before start running some ads. This is something that you need to plan out. So think about this when. Get a calendar out. If it's a digital calendar, digital calendars are just as fine as paper calendars. I just have a thing about handwriting. It's just me. But however you do it, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. There's just your way. Start at the end and work your way back and create some milestones. I'm going to make sure that this is going to happen. I'm going to make sure that this has happened. I'm going to make sure that this has happened. And when you do this, it makes your product launches, your programs, your offers, or whatever it is that you're going to be doing much more successful because it doesn't just come out of the blue. You have worked your way up to this. You have created content. And especially if I know something's going to happen in March and it's December right now, I still have time to think about what I'm going to plan and what I'm going to create for January. And then January, I can create something for February. I'm not just, trying to pull everything together last minute, just driving myself crazy. So use a calendar. We've talked about this. Was it last month or whatever month it was where I talked about content calendars? One of the other workshop videos where I go on about content calendars. I explained to you how to use a content calendar. Go watch that video and go watch me explain how to use your content calendar so that when you're running your marketing campaign, you're not just scrambling at the very end. And then when you go to launch it, nobody shows up because nobody's even knowing that you're doing this. So think about your when. Your when is so, so important to all of this whole process too. And if you don't know how to do this, and if you've never done anything like this before, what I would recommend that you do is, let's use the example of you're launching a product, a new product that you're going to be doing in March. What I recommend that you do is, do a brain dump. Sit down and either write it out or type it out and just list, these are all the things that I'm going to need to do. I'm going to need to do Facebook ads or Instagram ads. I'm going to need to write blog posts. I'm going to need to do an email sequence. I'm going to need to set up a landing page. I'm going to need to do a sales page. I'm going to, all of those things that you need to do so that you can, I need to create my product. I need to do the download. I need to do a workbook or whatever it is. Do a whole brain dump. And then what I recommend you do is a step before you move it to your calendar, move it into categories. So Instagram ads, That's a marketing category. Creating my product, that's a development category. Blog post, that's a marketing category, So after you've done your brain dump, divide them into different categories. And then from the categories, then take a look at the calendar and say, okay, if I needed to do this, then this is when I need to write my blog post. If I need to start running these Instagram ads, this is when I'm going to start, I need to do my Instagram ads about a month out so that I can start building my list and get them to the landing page. So I need to make sure that the landing page is done, put that on that day. And so you could start working through it from that perspective. So if you've never done this before, I always recommend just do a brain dump, move them into categories, and then from the categories, then start to add them into the calendar. And you'll start to see it all makes sense. And so as you're moving through this each week, you will be able to move more into each week. You'll be able to be getting closer and closer, and you're not just scrambling to try to get everything done as quick as you can. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, next one. Where are you going to run your marketing campaign? Which social media sites? Let me stop there for a second. I don't want to keep going. I talked before about when you looked at your marketing plan and you did the review and you looked and saw, LinkedIn works really, really well for me. Facebook, not so much. So now when you get to the point where you're starting to think about where you're going to be running your marketing campaign, where you're going to be running your marketing messages, you have that information that you knew before. You've done your research. You know who you're talking to. You know where they like to hang out. So if your social media sites if you know that LinkedIn is what's going to work for you, then don't use Facebook. Facebook is not your option. The Facebook is not always the option. I know I get frustrated because of how I feel about Facebook, but that's a personal thing. I'm not going to go through this anymore. But I highly recommend that you spend some time about where you're going to do this. I see something in the chat. Let me get this real quick. Oh, Cindy said, oh, okay. Thanks, Cindy. Thank you for the note. Okay, so think about that. I want you to think about where you're going to be going. Email newsletters. I am a firm believer, huge believer in email newsletters. I think that, email is still one of the best ways for you to build your business and to grow your reach. So if it's an email newsletter is what you're going to be doing, that's not just about what you're going to be saying in your email newsletter. How are you going to grow your email list? So there's that piece of it as well. So if how am I going to grow my email list? If you don't have an idea for an email opt-in, so that's people, you're basically having them download something so that they can get on your email list. That's something that you're going to want to create. Put that on your calendar. That's a win. I need to create a new opt-in because this opt-in is going to be connected to this so I can start growing my list. And you're not going to just grow your list one week and then promote it the next week. You've got to give yourself that time. So if email newsletters is where you're going to be running your campaign, there's more to it than just the email. You need to make sure that there's an email opt-in connected to it. If there's going to be live streaming, which sites are you going to be using it on? Understand the policies around that, because there's certain sites that will let you do multiple live streaming at the same time and certain ones that won't. So you want to make sure that you're in the right place talking to your people, and you want to make sure that you have all the information about what you need to do and how you're going to do this properly. Videos, are you going to do a video series? Are you going to do this on your YouTube channel? Do you even have a YouTube channel? You do want to set up a YouTube channel. Are you going to do videos like stories on Facebook and Instagram? Are you going to be doing live streaming videos? Think about that too. So where you run your marketing campaign, it's more than just saying, okay, I'm going to do videos. You want to get specific. You want to be so specific that you've got that on your calendar about how I'm going to write my content. I'm going to, this is the dates I'm going to tape my videos. This is when I'm going to be doing this. If you need to get that specific, by all means do that. So that way you've got this plan in place about the where. Oop. And don't forget the other thing, your call to action. Your website, landing page, email sequence, all of these are pieces that is part of this marketing campaign, this marketing, marketing plan that you're doing right now. You can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to be doing this, fun thing, and it's just going to be out there. Tell me what you need me to do next. Am I going to your website through the social? Am I finding you on a social media site and then clicking over to your website to read a blog post? Am I going to a landing page so that I can download something to get on your email list? And when I get on your email list, is there an email sequence? Can you send me more email, to help me understand what it is that you're trying to tell me? How can you develop all of that? Again, this is part of the where we're going to be sharing our messages, how we're going to be moving them from a social media or from one place to actually making the sale. So there's a whole the step of going from here to here to here to here, and going from this place. And one of the things I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start that over again. The sentence. I've said this before, but I feel like it deserves to be repeated again. And I'm going to use my little example here. I am a firm believer, and this being your website is the hub of everything that you do. This are your spokes, and your spokes could be Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, email newsletters, videos, or whatever it is. All of these things are not your website. Your website is where the sales happen. Your website is where they go and they read your blog post. They watch your videos, and they learn more about who you are and what your products and your services do. All of these things, especially social media sites, any of them could shut down tomorrow. And if that is what you're using as your website, you need to get yourself a website, because everything should focus off of the hub. The hub is the website, and that is the idea. The spokes always lead back to the website. So the where is, maybe the where is the landing page. Maybe the where is a sales page. Maybe on the email sequence ends up sending them to a blog post on your website, sends them to a video sequence on your website. But you want to get them onto the website, because the website is the one piece of property you own, and you have the control over it, where you can make sales from it, where you can get somebody to sign up for a one-to-one conversation with you. You want to send them to the website. So always remember that. Going back to that, thinking about your hub and all of these other things is always sending them back to the website. Always, always, always. So that is the goal. You can be in all of these spokes all day long, all you want. But how are we going to get them to that website is your main goal right there. That's your where you're going. Okay, last piece there. How? How are you going to do all this? I want you to list some action steps. Is there something maybe you need to outsource? I'm not really good with this, so I'm going to outsource this work. Do I need to get a process in place to get this done? I was giving you guys the example that when I did that 30-day Instagram challenge, I ended up by about the second week having a process. I knew the images. I had the fonts already signed up, set up. I was using Planoly so that I could see what my grid looked like even before I had put it on Instagram. You need to make sure that there's the how. How is all of this going to get done? And if that is something you've never worked on before, by all means, that could be something that would be that's a huge plan that you need to work through. And I highly recommend that you spend a lot of time working through this. If you've never done a how before, you may just want to start really simple, again, with action steps. And then look at the action steps and go from there. Is this something that I can do? Do I need to outsource this? Do I need to get a process in place for this? So it's really, really important to understand how you're going to get all of this done, because it's great to have this plan in place. And oh my goodness, let me tell you how great it feels to have a plan in place. But if you don't know how you're going to get it done, you just get overwhelmed. And then what ends up happening is you never do it. And you find every excuse in the book. But if you have a plan in place and you know the steps that you need to take and you know what you need to be doing, is it just, you start to move through this whole process, and next thing you know, it's done. You've got it all done. And a couple of things I want to bring up too with regards to the how. As you're moving through this, I want you to ask yourself, how am I going to measure my progress? It could be something as simple as a checklist. I'm just going to measure my progress from a checklist. I'm going to measure my progress because I've got it marked out on the calendar and I'm going to cross it off every time I do this. It could be just that simple, but I need you to think about how you're going to measure your progress. Because if you just keep doing and doing and doing and doing and not seeing how far you're going, let's go back to the science of goal setting. Remember when I told you about that endowment effect, taking ownership? Because when you start to see the progress and the things that are happening and everything is working the way that it's supposed to be working, that dopamine hits you. And you keep wanting to go again and again. That was good. That was good. Like I crossed that thing off. Woohoo, that's happy. So you will measure your progress because it will also keep you motivated and it will also keep you focused. So figure out how you're going to measure your progress. It's a big thing. Flip side of that is, what are you going to do to handle any of the obstacles that you face? And it can't just be stomp off and have a temper tantrum, even though we want to do that. I know that, I've done it. It can't just be that. You have to think about, what am I going to do to handle the obstacles that I face? That's a big question. You're not going to answer that right now, but I want you to think about that in the back of your mind, because things are going to happen. Things are going to be out of your control. Something's going to happen. It's going to knock you off your timeline. It's going to knock you off your day. And what are you going to do? How are you going to get back onto your timeline? How are you going to get back into control of it? Think about that as you're thinking about your how. So you're going to work out your plan. And when you can work out your whole plan, I want you to use that calendar, put milestone dates on there, right? Type out your plan, however you're going to do it. It's entirely up to you. As I always say, there's no right way. There's no wrong way. There's just your way. However you write it out or however you do it, but create the plan. Don't just have it up here, because this doesn't help, because this also won't help you monitor your progress. You want to make sure that you monitor your progress. And the last two things that I want to add on to this is, as you're moving through this thing, and let's say you are dealing with some obstacles that you didn't expect to happen, be open to making changes. Don't just keep plowing through and thinking, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work. I think I'm going to work. And you keep hitting the wall over and over and over and over again. And after a while, that just hurts. Let me just tell you that right now. Be open to saying, okay, this isn't working. What can I do so that this works? I need this to work a little bit better. Be open to making changes is a big thing that you want to do. And the other thing I want to say is, as you're monitoring your progress, don't forget to celebrate your wins. Even if it's just, I got that video done this week. I'm so excited. I got the video done. Celebrate your wins. Even, it's something as small as, I went to the store and I got a slice of cake. Okay, so maybe that's what I do. I openly admit that's what I do. I celebrate my wins. Publix is like the best cake anywhere. So, and they sell a slice. I don't have to buy a whole cake. I can just get a slice. So I can celebrate my wins with a slice of Publix cake. All right. So you get to know a little bit more about me. But all of this will happen when you work out this plan and you have it in place. How can you start to take ownership of it? When you see it all together and you see the milestones and you've got this plan and you're monitoring your progress, the more you work through it, the more you're going to take ownership of it. And it comes back down to that thing that I was telling you at the very beginning. We were talking about the science, the endowment effect. When you start to take ownership of it, when it becomes yours and it becomes part of your identity and who you are and what you're doing with your business, that's when you're more invested in it and it becomes more important to you. And it's not just something that you will easily just, it didn't work, so I'm just not going to do it. And you'll keep at it and you'll stay motivated and you'll be able to stay focused, and you will actually start to see results and get this done. It's exciting. And like I said, there's no right way, there's no wrong way to do this. There's just your way. Because as you can see, I never once told you that, you have to use this program. You have to sign up to this project management system. You have to do this. No, there's not. If that's what makes you happy and if that's what works for you, then by all means, go for it. But there's one thing I'm going to say about this. If you try to put yourself, let's say you are a digital person and you heard me talk about how I handwrite on a calendar. So you're like, oh, she's handwriting on a calendar, so I'm going to handwrite on a calendar. And you try to do it and it's not you. You're going to find every excuse and every reason not to do it. So the goal here is not for you to do, this is what Penny does, so I'm going to eat cake and put my stuff on a calendar, a paper calendar. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to do this your way. Because when you do this your way, that's when it works. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. There's just your way. And it gets done. And all of these plans and all of these goals and all of these things that you want to do, you actually will make it happen. And that's the whole point behind this. You want to meet your goals. You want to have, this marketing plan that's working for you. You want to grow your business and build your income and connect with more customers. So do this your way. Don't just, listen to parts of things that I'm rambling on about and not and just, don't force yourself into something that you think that I'm trying to tell you to do. That's what I'm saying. I'm going on about it, even though I don't need to. Okay, going back to this thing, if you really want to dig deep into this process of how to tap into your creativity and never run out of content ideas again, I am offering $20 off of the subscription plan, any of them, because there's a 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. Use the coupon code CREATE, all in lowercase, at createyourbiz.net. All right, we have a few minutes left before we leave. For those of you who are here with me today, do you have any questions for me? Anything that came up during the whole workshop today that maybe that I said something and it just stuck with you and you'd like some more clarity about it, or something that you want me to work through with you? Any questions? No, you guys are quiet today. Or is it just so much? I know it was so much. Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. All right. All right, well, I know this was a lot. I know this was a lot. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and stop the recording. I'll stay on for a few minutes for those of you who are still with me here and you might want to ask me some questions after I get up. Whoop, wait, I just saw something pop up. Oh, you have a question. Oh, thank you, Kate. What is your question that I can help you with? Do you want to unmute yourself or do you want to just type in the chat? Either one. It's up to you. Oh, there you are in the chat. You're welcome, Pastor. I'm glad you're here to join me today. Oh, you're asking, is it a problem to experiment with different styles on social media? I like many things in many styles. And so people are often confused. Yes, I bet they are. You know what I would do if I were you? I would check your insights. I would go into the places where you are using these different styles and I would check your insights. And wherever social media that you're using this on, I'm not quite sure which social media site you're doing. If you want to, sometimes they say, oh, there's a girl with your name and she makes very different art. Facebook and Instagram. Okay, Twitter. Okay. Mastodon. Oh, you're on Mastodon. Okay. That's one that I'm looking into for 2023. I do know for a fact you do love Mastodon. That's good to know. I've been looking into that. I know for a fact that Facebook and Instagram, I haven't been on Twitter in so long, But I do know that Facebook and Instagram have both post specific insights, especially Facebook. Facebook is very post specific, where you can go into your insights. And if I were you, I would go in there and I would just look and see which posts are getting you the most engagement, are getting the most views, the most impressions. I can't remember what they use. I don't know if it's impressions or views. They use one of those words. But you want to look at engagement. Engagement is really important. I know engagement does come up in Facebook, and engagement consists for Facebook, whether somebody's clicked on it, whether somebody's commented, whether somebody has liked it, anything where they physically actively engaged on it. Like if they've scrolled through it and then they stopped and then they read it, it'll be part of their views. So I would go through and just look and see what's coming up as my top engagement and my top views. And then see if there's any patterns. Are the ones that are coming up really, really good? Am I using the same image? Am I using the same copy? Is there a pattern with that? Is something working with these that are not working with the others? You're going to have to kind of dig in and do a little bit of research. And then what I'm going to tell you to do is yes, you're welcome. When you learn that information, I'm about to tell you something that you're probably not going to like me. You have to stop doing that. You have to stop doing the different styles and the different things. You need to find the one that's working and then build on that one. I'm not saying that every single post has to be exactly like the ones that are going with the engagement, but if the ones that are going with the engagement have like always your art on it, then from that point on, always put your art on it. If the ones that are doing really great with your engagement because they have like pictures of you in selfies and or you doing videos of you creating art or something like that, you should find ways to add more of that in there. And you need to stop doing all of the different styles. So for you, 2023 is, I think you should hone in on what's working. Yes, your goal for 2023. Yes, you get me? Okay, good. Because I think that would be my place to tell you where to start and to tell you to stop doing that. But you don't need to, but you won't need to stop. You won't know where to start until you get that information. So go into the Facebook and Instagram and get that information. You're welcome. You're very, very welcome. Anybody else? Anybody else with questions, comments? Oh, wait, something else. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for your question. I guess I should have read that more for everybody who was watching the replay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because it is getting close to our 90-minute time. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me on here live as well as the replays, because I know most of you are watching on the replays because I get the emails